As a traveler, I am an amateur at maps. After traveling to several places in Malang, I took a bus to Surabaya. Arriving in Surabaya, still sleepy-eyed before midnight, I changed buses to Semarang. I prefer to take the train. But there is no choice. I couldn't find an air-conditioned bus. So, I had to take an economy bus. The bus was extraordinarily full. Many passengers were standing. I was lucky to get a seat even though it was in the corner, with lots of stuff, cigarette smoke, and tingling hands and feet from barely being able to move all night. Only a few tens of minutes after the bus was rode, entering the highway, suddenly the bus stopped. I heard a muffled scream, almost crash. The bus tire punctured, so it took quite a long time to change. Some passengers got off looking for fresh air. I stuck in a corner with a pile of stuff. I feel stuffy. Hot air mixed with cigarette smoke spread throughout the bus. The open window didn't make any difference. But in the end, I managed to survive. Through the cities of the saints, Kudus, Demak, etc. After asking some people in the morning, I got off at the Trenggalek Bridge, crossed the road, and took the bus to Jepara. Hours later, I get off at a T-junction near the port. From there, I took a pedicab to the Kartini beach area. The rickshaw driver said that the ferry to Karimun Jawa had not sailed for 2 days because of the big waves. For other fast ships are in the docking process for 10 days. That means no ferry and speedboat services to and from Karimun Jawa. I had to find accommodation and wait until tomorrow. Hoping the weather improves and I can go. There is no cell phone signal at Kartini Beach. The only entertainment place is a turtle-shaped exhibition building. The next day, at 6 in the morning, I checked out of the hostel and headed to the port. I discovered the ferry departure schedule could be earlier if the tickets sell out. With 2 days of ship delays, no fast boats operating during the docking process, and 2 buses containing hundreds of students, tickets for the Sejinjai ferry quickly sold out. I had been queuing since 6 in the morning, went through a queue that stretched for more than an hour and was annoyed when I almost arrived at the ticket window and got a notification that the tickets had run out. We were shugged to go to Karimun in the next 2 days. I tried to find an alternative ship with other passengers. I asked the officer. As far as I know, there are fishermen wooden boats which sometimes go back and forth to Karimun with a travel time of around 7 hours. However, the officer did not suggest it for safety reasons. A female tourist from France named Valerie and her friend walks into the counter area. They looked confused. I explained the situation. Valerie spoke in French with her friend. A tourist from China spoke to an information officer. While each of us was starting to plan alternative travel options, suddenly, there was an announcement that there were additional tickets. A ticket scalper cut the queue and asked me to tell the tourists about the tickets so they would buy from him. But I innocently poked Valerie and asked her and her new friend to queue because there were extra tickets. A port officer arrived and warned us that we could only buy 1 ticket, not 10. Looks like there are a lot of ticket scalpers here. I ran towards the ferry, which was about to leave. The ferry was full. You can not only find people and motorized vehicles at the bottom, but also thousands of coconuts, crates of chicken eggs, 2 sheep, and vegetables. I went upstairs. The situation is not much different. The Sejinjai ferry is quite good. But unfortunately, it was not smoking-free. In fact, with a 4-hour cruise, it could be said to be the same as the Bali Lombok trip. This ship is overloaded. The waves seemed high, because they were shaking quite hard. After the sailing, I heard an announcement directing passengers below to go upstairs immediately and ensure their safety. The ship is fully loaded. Even passenger used the floor to sit. Some of the passengers, who seemed to be residents of Karimun Jawa, were much better prepared. They lay out a mat and pillows, lay on the ferry's floor, and even ate together as if on a picnic. Food and drinks are expensive for a ship like this. The situation is getting worse and worse. People were passing by. The waves got bigger. The rocking of the ship became more pronounced and made me nauseous. The passenger next to me was vomiting. A small child cries. It felt like I was in a refugee camp. I almost threw up. But in the end, I persevered and arrived at Karimun Jawa harbor exhausted. I took a motorbike taxi to the accommodation I booked and joined a group of students and families for a trip package to several islands the next day. It also turns out that the Sejinjai ferry only sails once per trip. Today destination is Karimun, followed by Jepara tomorrow, and so on. So I had to add more accommodation because it was impossible to return to Jepara the day after tomorrow. I was stranded. I stuck here for 4 days. After talking with the homestay owner and buying food, the hostel staff took me to the bicycle rental place. The hostel was very uncomfortable because of the heat. The electricity in Karimun is only available from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., except for luxury accommodation with a generator. Without a fan or air conditioning, being in the hostel during the day was incredibly hot. The large window faces west. The entire afternoon to evening felt like I was being baked. The door was also jammed, and even though the bathroom was in the room, it was very narrow. The location of the squat toilet is not high, so people could fall into the toilet hole. However, looking for another accommodation is useless because it is likely already full everywhere. I rented a bicycle around the island, but the size was wrong. The saddle was too high, and the chain jammed. I almost hit another vehicle. The driver scolded me. I returned to the rental place and exchanged the bike for a more comfortable one. For about 4 hours, I cycled around the island. I chatted with other visitors at home for a while and found out we felt the same way. We have not idea what to do. Karimun Island is a tiny place that can be traveled around in just a few hours. There was no phone signal, and without electricity, the TV didn't even turn on. There is no entertainment whatsoever, while staying in hostel doesn't make you feel at home. But, I found out that Karimun Island also has entertaining sides. The sunset is stunning. I watched the sunset from the pier. The best spot to see the sunset process, from perfectly round to completely submerged. Very beautiful orange color. It was one of the best sunsets I've ever seen. At night, there are cross-legged stalls in the field near the fish auction. They serve fresh seafood dishes. Very tasty and cheap. The Karimun Java Islands consist of 27 islands, but only 4 of them are inhabited. Several islands here have been purchased and become private property. Maybe it's the same as buying land in Jakarta or a coal mine in Borneo, but because it's an island, this fact makes me surprised. The second day in Karimun was quite entertaining. If you want to enjoy beautiful beaches without having to go to Lombok or Gili Trawangan at a much cheaper cost, just come to Karimun Jawa. At around 8 a.m., we were picked up at the pier near the main square. Mr. Pori and Mr. Kosim are waiting. Seeing the islands lined up, I remembered seeing the 3 Gili in Lombok, Trawangan, Mino, and Air from the top of the speedboat deck. Our first trip was to Tengah Island. About 45 minutes by motorized wooden boat. At the start of the trip, we were all excited. The waves make the boat tilt left and right around 10 to 30 degrees. The term adrift in the ocean is appropriate in this case. The splashes of seawater that occasionally wet us to the middle of the deck, even though they made us groan, still made us cheerful. "Sorry, the road hasn't been paved yet," said Mr. Pori and made us laugh. Tengah Island has a beautiful pier, several floating houses for rent, and a shark hatchery. The sand is clean white and delicate like flour. We first went to the snorkeling spot and took underwater photos. The coral reefs here are still maintained. We sprinkled biscuits so the fish would come rushing in. I tried to catch a fish, feeling it for a moment before it took off. Ticklish. After lunch, we moved to Silk Island. The snorkeling spots are even better. But my snorkel didn't fit. I choked and coughed violently, drank quite a lot of seawater, and then vomited. With the help of Mr. Pori, I docked the boat and decided to just get on. I drank mineral water to neutralize the discomfort in my throat. Most of the others were still below and busy taking photos underwater. We docked at Silk Island. While ordering food and drinks, I chatted with several Karimun residents who guard this island. I didn't take any photos on this island, even though it was said that at the end of the island there was a better photo spot than Gosong Island. For an island with limited transportation, food and drink prices on Silk Island are cheap. Not much different from Jakarta. In fact, the food and drink prices on the previous ferry was more expensive. We continued our journey to Menjangan Castle Island to take photos with sharks. The shark is still small. At least 1 meter in size. Even though we were afraid, we still plunged into the breeding pool. When the shark approached, I could only stare with a tense face. The key is to be calm and not attract attention. For example, moving your feet on the edge of the pool. Mr. Kosim said it would be thought of as food. Even though this is just a breeding, it's still a shark pool. I was shocked when I looked under the water using snorkel goggles, and there was a shark right in front of me. The shark's eyes and teeth are terrifying up close. In the third day in Karimun Jawa, we headed to Ujung Jelam beach of Karimun Jawa. I chatted briefly with the officers there before taking in the beautiful scenic spots on this beach. After taking photos, we headed to Semarang Island for lunch. Mr. Pori, Mr. Kosim, and the crew grilled the fish while we watched. Semarang Island is a small island. In less than half an hour, I was already walking around the island. The view here is also beautiful, and the sand is as fine as flour, like on Tenga Island. After the grilled fish party at lunch, we spent time sitting on the beach. After 2 hours, I get bored. I miss the mountains. In the mountains, danger makes us depend on and helps each other. We are not busy looking for signals to upload photos just to prove that what we are doing is not a hoax. Luckily, the last spot is entertaining. We snorkeled on Menjangan Island, which has diverse coral reefs, and calm water only a few meters deep. At first, we too lazy to jump into the sea, immediately changed our minds. This time, I tightened the life jacket according to size and chose a snorkel that fit. It is the most comfortable snorkeling I have experienced here. I can be satisfied by exploring sea urchins, various coral reefs, Nemo, and many types of ornamental fish. This last spot was entertaining and helped lift my mood. In the evening, we eat in the square again. But this time, the food I ordered was not delicious. I met again with Valerie and her friend, who previously met me at Kartini Beach. We chatted briefly. Soon, huge fireworks were set off in the square. I don't know what to celebrate. The next day, I parted ways with my group friends and returned to Jepara. I saw Valerie and her friend on the ferry, but our seats were far apart. We didn't have time to chat anymore or say goodbye. Arriving in Jepara, that was the last time I saw them. I continued my journey to Semarang, stopped by the Grand Mosque of Semarang, which has an external design like the Nabawi Mosque in Medina, photographed the giant handwritten Quran, reunited with old friends, then returned to Jakarta.